Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of RC Classic Garage. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit crazy, a bit bold, but a whole big dream come true for me. Yep, I bought the cheapest E-Type I could find, sight unseen, and I've lived with it for the past decade. So let's go into how I ended up with this 1968 E-Type Jaguar 4.2, what it cost me, what it took to bring it back to life and how much that costs, and what it's been like to own one of the most iconic cars for the past decade. And most importantly, looking at the value, has it all been worth it? I've always been an absolute petrol head, and I've admired the E-Type for as long as I can remember, but I'd always considered it a bit of a stretch to own. And then 11 years ago, I stumbled across an advert in South Africa for this exact E-Type. It had been pulled out of a barn where it had been sitting for the previous 12 years, pretty much untouched and forgotten. Now the seller was a dealer, and he said he didn't have much history on this car because the original owner had passed away and he was selling it on behalf of the deceased estate. He had pulled it out of the barn, he had spent a few days on it trying to get it running. It was running, but not very well, and he was not prepared to spend any more time on the car, and he needed to sell it. So he sent me a few photos. I could see the car was rough, I could see it wasn't running very well, and I could see the interior was worn, but I could see the bones were good, and I had a really good feeling about it. So I did what any mad car enthusiast would do. I bought the car sight unseen, based on the seller's words and a few photographs. We negotiated quite hard on price and eventually settled on £10,500. Now I knew that was an absolute steal for an E-Type, even one that was not perfect. When it arrived, it ran rough, but was remarkably solid. It was an original car, it had matching numbers, original interior, 70,000 miles on the clock, and most importantly, absolutely no rust. So the first thing I did was call an E-Type mechanic in South Africa and ask him to go through the car, the electrical system and the fuel system, and give it a good service. So he replaced the distributor cap, points plugs, condenser. He basically cleaned out the fuel system, put in a new fuel pump, and got the car up and running. A bit of fettling and the car was running absolutely perfectly. And his bill for his tuning, fettling and major service, just £400. So I could not believe that for £11,000 I had a smooth running E-Type Jaguar. The next thing I decided to do is have the car repainted. So the car was stripped down and it was exactly what I'd hoped for. There was no rust. There were a few dents which were taken out and the car was repainted. But at this stage I decided to retain as much originality on chrome and interior as possible in order to keep the patina and just retain that original charm with the car. So after being repainted, all the original chrome was put back on. We only renewed rubbers and seals where we needed to, and the total cost of that work was £2,000. So for a total of £13,000, I had an E-Type that cleaned up pretty well, ran pretty well. And to me, that felt like I'd hit the classic car jackpot. So for the next 8 years, the car was actually used very sparingly. It was used to the odd classic car event, taking people to the odd prom, but the classic car collection built around it, and this always remained a firm favorite. But it had started to develop a problem. It was very difficult to start, and actually to get it going was quite a challenge. So 3 years ago, I decided it was time to do something about that. I decided I wanted to really use this E-Type and take it to as many events and long rallies as we could, but I needed the car to really be reliable. So I went through it from top to bottom. Everything from suspension rebuilds, brake refurbs, triple carb rebuild, electronic ignition, new fuel tank, and basically fixed every single gauge and switch on the car. Now there's a series of videos on the channel when I've done that, so go back, check them out if you are interested. But that was a total of £20,000 to bring this car to tip-top condition. Now I know that seems like an awful lot of money, but that really has been used to improve this car immensely. It starts first time, it drives incredibly well, it's just so smooth. Every gauge and dial works in a Jaguar that is 60 years old. So what's it been like finding the cheapest E-Type I could and owning it for over 11 years? Well, in one word, absolutely amazing. It's been part of the family. It's now used regularly, taken on all those special occasions. My children are teenagers and they're always going to remember having a car like this in the garage and used on all those special family occasions. It's been conversation starters with people. It gets waves and admirations when you're sitting and driving in the traffic. And of course, I've been able to share it with you guys on YouTube. I just think a car like this just needs to be loved and shared, as they are just such wonderful cars. I've let other YouTubers like It's Joel take this and share it with his audience. And say in one word, really to describe it, absolutely amazing. And those memories, priceless. So a 1968 Jaguar E-Type 4.2 2+2 in the current market in the UK is worth about £50,000. And I've spent a total of £42,000 on this car. That's include purchasing the car, bringing it back to life, shipping it to the UK, and then all the upgrades and maintenance I've done to the car over the last 11 years. Now that's not a fantastic financial return, but beyond the finances, owning a car like this has been absolutely fantastic and to me priceless. Thanks all for watching another episode of RC Classic Garage, where I've shared my journey of owning this E-Type for the last 11 years. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you all next time.